Star Wars 7x7 episode 2649. So we mentioned this on the October 2021 What's Coming Out This Month episode that there had been an unexpected drop in September on Disney Plus that would have fallen in the streaming category, and it is Star Wars Galaxy of Sounds, and we're going to talk about what the deal is with that today and about things that are particularly awesome about it. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So Star Wars Galaxy of Sounds came out in the back half of September after Visions, but before LEGO Star Wars Terrifying Tales. And it's basically in the same category as the Star Wars Biomes series and or that wasn't a series, that's just one thing, even though it goes to a bunch of different biomes. And the Star Wars Vehicle Fly-Throughs that has two situations for that so far, the Falcon and a Star Destroyer. It's kind of the same thing where they're repurposing the existing video that they have of things and making new content with it. But in this particular case, it is really about celebrating Skywalker Sound. And here's the official description for it. Star Wars Galaxy of Sounds explores the ambience of a galaxy far, far away through themes such as wonder, excitement, oddities, and more. Be immersed in the hum of Coruscant at golden hour, listen to the light side of the Force as Rey connects to past Jedi, and observe booming lightsaber duels. Experience the nostalgic sounds of Star Wars from across the franchise. And there are 7 episodes that run about 7 minutes each. Hey, kind of like this podcast. Wonder, as you heard, is one of them, and excitement. There's a light side, a dark side, a beeps, which focuses mostly on droids, connections, and oddities. And something else that's amazing about this is that they've found something for each of the categories from just about every single Star Wars live action production. So all 11 movies and The Mandalorian, and in many cases they've got something from Mando Season 1 and from Mando Season 2 in each of these videos. I think the only instance where I was like, maybe they don't have something in there was in the Dark Side video. I don't think there was anything from Solo: A Star Wars Story, though funnily enough, there was a thing of Maul having his lightsaber shoot to his hand from Solo in the light side one. And then I think in Attack of the Clones, there was one video that didn't have representation from Attack of the Clones in it. That was the Oddities one. As for the scenes themselves that they show, basically everything in it is the scene without music and without dialogue for the most part. In the Dark Side one, you get a lot of Palpatine cackling, which is the nearest thing to dialogue that you get. And when Baby Yoda shows up, you get a lot of giggling from him. But yeah, for the most part, dialogue does not exist in these videos. The little thing that pops out of the door in Return of the Jedi and also in Season 1 of The Mandalorian that speaks in Huttese and goes, right? So that's the only thing that's dialogue, because that's actually Huttese language. But everything from laser fire to the crazy energy balls that they had in the Phantom Menace that the Gungans were using in the big ground war portion of that finale, to people's footsteps as they're walking along, to the hum of traffic on Coruscant and the wind whistling on Tatooine, the roar of the waves on Kef Bir in The Rise of Skywalker, lightning in Exegol in The Rise of Skywalker, like that kind of stuff. Every ambient sound, every sound related to a visual effect is in these scenes, and it's just not music. So that in itself is it's crazy to experience Star Wars that way, and mostly without dialogue either. Now the first 4, which are the wonder and excitement and dark side and light side, they're interesting to be sure, but I feel like the last 3, beeps and connections and oddities, were the ones that really kind of stood out for me, because they actually made me feel different things about Star Wars. Like, it was just cool to see a bunch of montage scenes from Star Wars with those first 4, but it's these last 3 that really actually had a palpable effect. The beeps one features droids for the most part, and it just gets to a point where it's slapsticky, and so there's comedy with the droids. Like the thing I mentioned about the little thing popping out of the door with the Huttese language from Return of the Jedi. Like they show that, and then they show the Mandalorian one, and then they show it again when Mando rips the thing out when he's going in to rescue the baby. So that's very effectively done, where it's one and then two, and then the third one is just the rip. Then there are other slapstick moments in there too that are just fun. So like that one actually brought a smile to my face. Whereas the Connections one actually brought a tear to my eye, because it is all about the connections between characters. So the emotional connections between characters. And droids are represented here too. So BB-8 and R2-D2, and also C-3PO and R2-D2, and even BB-8 and Dio, I believe also, if I remember right, were in this one as well. But oh, moments like juxtaposing Shmi putting her hand on young Anakin Skywalker's face, and then next up is Han Solo putting his hand on Ben Solo's face in The Rise of Skywalker, and the wedding of Anakin and Padme, and there's so many moments where you realize, like, my gosh, this is actually emotional storytelling in so many ways. And yeah, it brought a tear to my eye. It really did. And then the oddities one just shows you how weird Star Wars can get from time to time. And that one actually was one where I felt like maybe a little gypped, to be honest, because I feel like they could have shown the marketplace in Jeddah for Rogue One, and they could have shown that little cantina that was, hiding Babu Frick's playground in The Rise of Skywalker on Pisana, right? And not Pisana. Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of that planet right now, but you know what I mean. But I think that's actually one of Star Wars' particularly most charming qualities, is that it does get weird from time to time. Like the cantina scene in A New Hope, or the cantina scene in The Force Awakens, the weirdness of Jabba's entourage and the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, the Thalas sirens in The Last Jedi that Luke was milking. And come to think of it, I think Babu Frick was talking at one point too, so there's some dialogue there too. Anyway, so yeah, ultimately it's just fun, and it's interesting to see Star Wars, cut up and split around, and odd things happening in different ways, and to see some of the things mirrored. Like I mentioned, the touching of the face with Shmi and young Anakin, and then Han and Ben in The Rise of Skywalker. But there are other moments that you see juxtaposed where you're like, oh, that happened too, like with Anakin in The Phantom Menace and spinning his Naboo starfighter around. Actually, that's just one that occurred to me just now. That's not actually in there, but the spinning is with like Anakin spinning his Jedi starfighter in Revenge of the Sith, and then juxtaposing that against Kylo Ren spinning his TIE silencer like crazy in The Last Jedi as he's making the attack run on the Raddus. And so Galaxy of Sounds, in addition to getting you to focus on the sounds, if you're actually watching the video montage of it, you also get to see these fascinating mirrored moments that maybe you wouldn't necessarily have noticed. And yeah, it's just we don't get to see them in this way, but they kind of curated it for us in this way. And there's one other thing that came up that I feel like maybe we've discussed this on the podcast, and I'm not entirely positive, but it finally occurred to me when I was watching the montage, which included the Mandalorian sitting with Tusken Raiders at night as they were going to hunt the Krayt Dragon. And because of the fact that the Mandalorian spent time on Tatooine, that means just in the timeline, he spent time on Tatooine while young Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi were on Tatooine, which is really kind of, I don't know, I feel like I've had that realization before, but maybe I haven't, because it hit me just as hard as it must have hit me the first time. If I'd thought about it before, I was like, wait a minute, they were on the planet at the same time. And so that, of course, opens the door to the possibility of, gee whiz, could the Mandalorian show up in the Kenobi miniseries somehow? Wouldn't that be shocking? And so there you go. That's what I've got for you about Galaxy of Sounds. It really is fun and enjoyable. I don't know if you'll go revisiting it over and over again necessarily, but I think it's definitely worth your time. And that's going to do it for this episode of the show as well. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.